Friends, Greg Newmaster coming at you again with another action figure review. Today I have Medicom Mafex Knightfall Batman, and I gotta say I am super excited to get this figure. I pre-ordered it a very long time ago. Got it from Big Bad Toy Store for the standard approximately $100. It's like 90 plus tax plus shipping, all that stuff. But great figure. Currently, I think it's available on Big Bad Toy Store for, I don't know. I don't know if the pre-orders ran out or not. So don't quote me on that. Anyhow, great figure. If you like the video, please like and subscribe and help me to build my channel because I love making action figure reviews. Anyhow, so Mafex, in my opinion, best action figure makers right now. Just the articulation, the paint apps, the quality control, the sculpt, just phenomenal figures. I love them, love them, love them. They're my favorite, especially in the 6-inch line. Star Wars Vintage Collection and the 3.75 scale. But anyhow, so Batman, Nightfall Batman, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so I am formed and shaped in my comic book love from that time period, and what a time period it was, the 80s and the 90s. The 80s, we have Batman Year One, we have Frank Miller Batman continuing with The Dark Knight Returns, all the stuff that just totally transformed Batman. There's the death in the family, so many great stories, but one of the foundational stories for me at that time in my young life was Nightfall. And there were many things happening at this time period. The anti-hero was really big because of Wolverine. The dark and grittiness of the 90s, just action at like dialed up to an 11. Everything was extreme. Pouches were a really big thing at the time. Don't ask me why. I credit that to Jim Lee and Liefeld and all those guys. You know, all those artists in the 90s. Todd McFarlane. You know, all those great, wonderful artists and writers. But what a time. What a time to grow up in the 90s. Late 80s, 90s. What a time. But anyhow, so Superman had died, Spider-Man had the Clone Saga, Wolverine got the adamantium ripped out of him. So all sorts of cataclysmic events happening in comic books. So what was Batman gonna do? What was the big thing that was gonna change Batman forever? And that was Nightfall. That is the instance when they created Bane. Bane is this roided out character. He's this great fighter. He wants to defeat Batman. He wants to break him and take over Gotham, which he does. And he breaks. He wears down Bruce Wayne as much as possible. He lets all of the rogues gallery of Batman villains out of prison. Batman gets exhausted. He's also dealing with his PTSD from the death of Jason Todd. And eventually Bane confronts Batman, breaks his back, shatters his will, shatters his body, and then Batman has to pick a successor, which controversially he chooses John Paul Valley, aka Nightfall Batman, aka Azrael, to be his successor, which, you know, I know they did it for story purposes at the time, but come on, what about Dick Grayson? What about Nightwing? What about the original Robin? What about Batman's first son, even though he was adopted? Is there a better successor to Batman, to Bruce Wayne, than Dick Grayson? I think not. And obviously I'm showing my bias. I love Dick Grayson. He's one of my all-time favorite comic book characters. He's definitely in the top 5. The original Robin, you just can't beat him. And then he becomes Nightwing. But Batman, you know, is embarrassed. They're estranged at the time, him and Nightwing. He's afraid to ask him. He's also afraid that if he asks Nightwing to take over as Batman, he'll face Bane and also suffer the same fate or even worse. So he chooses the man from a cult, a fundamentalist cult. Jean-Paul Valley, the Order of Saint Dumas. He is enhanced. He has superhuman strength and abilities. At the time, it was because he was trained from birth to be a crusader for this order, this sort of deranged Christian order, and he was enhanced with animal DNA. So this is actually a Batman who is super strong and has abilities. And his costume, oh my goodness, look at this costume. If anything was apparent at the time was just how dynamic and exciting and awesome the costumes looked in the 90s, whether you like the pouches or not, just looked amazing. This Batman costume, this figure here, this second version of Azrael's costume as Batman is just stunning. Absolutely stunning look for him. So anyhow, Azrael becomes Batman. He's unhinged. He's unstable. He breaks the code. He's ruthless and reckless and lets people die, and he kills people. Even though he does defeat Bane, which is just silly because, that would have been cooler if Bruce Wayne would have done it and gotten his justice. But he just becomes more and more unstable, becomes more of a reckless Batman. He alienates all of Batman's allies like Tim Drake Robin, Commissioner Gordon, Nightwing, everybody at the time. And then eventually Bruce Wayne has to retrain himself. He gets healed, he gets better, he gets more training, and he comes back and he defeats Azrael and takes back the mantle of Batman, and then he gives it to Dick. But anyhow, so all that to say is we get Nightfall Batman from that. And it was an interesting run. It's how I grew up on Batman. And it was an exciting time. And, some people like it, some people don't. But whatever. Just the imagery is amazing. And that's one of the best parts about comic books anyhow, is the way that things look. So let's get into this review. Enough of me babbling. So the box looks fantastic, just very simple but very sleek. Here's the Mafex sticker on the bottom, the Medicom toys. Got to make sure to have this so it's not a knockoff. There he is from the side. This is number 144 for Mafex. Here's some imagery on the background, all the different looks. Not many accessories with this Batman. But let's crack them open and get a good look. I'm actually, anytime they give like a ton of accessories with these things, they just always go all over the place. So I'm going to be very careful with him. Let's see, what else do we get? Oh, we get a certificate of authenticity, it looks like, on the back here. You guys can see that. So I'm not going to open that, but I'll just stick that back into the box because there are a lot of bootlegs. Here's the stand. I'm not going to open that up. It's the same stand that comes with every figure. And I'm going to pop this plastic open and see what we got for Nightfall Batman, aka Azrael, Jean-Paul Valley. So the way my Batman is sitting in the packaging right now, he kind of looks a little contorted. So we're going to just straighten him out just a little bit and get a good look at him. So, I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful costume. So if you guys look at the mask here, this is what I always thought was so great about this mask. I think this is the ideal Batman mask because you see how his nose and his mouth is covered. It's a helmet. Instead of in the traditional Batman mask, his face is always exposed in the cowl. So look how Batman's nose, and you can see his lips. So just for the sake of keeping his identity secret, you can't see his face at all. So, with the head completely covered by a helmet, and I'm sure he could use a voice modulator or some sort. It would be really great to conceal his identity. Plus, it would protect his whole face if he got shot in the face. which is, something Batman always has to deal with. And the red eyes, it just looks very sinister, but just such a great look. The blue is a nice metallic blue, so it looks great. And he has this really awesome shoulder harness. This is really sharp here, actually. And let's see what he looks like from the back. And we do have the traditional cape with the little spikes on the bottom. And it is a wired cape. There's a wire right here, and there's a wire on the top. So if you want to dynamically pose the cape, you could do that as well. Lots of metallic paint here mixed with a matted paint. So let's see, what else do we got? I mean, it just looks so beautiful. And there's actually red under there. The shoulder pad piece or neck harness, it does not come off. I'm sure you could snap it off if you wanted to, but it doesn't come off. But let's check out the articulation. So shoulders go all the way up. We got 2 points of articulation in the torso. Really nice crunch. Nice back bend. We got neck articulation, as you can see. Also head articulation. These are really sharp. That just like cut my finger, so be careful. Head pops off like so. Let's just get a look at it. It's such a beautiful mask. Look at how cool that looks. So just take, this is the Hush Batman. And you can just pop that, or 1 second here, pop the head off. And then pop the John Paul Valley head on. And see if that goes on there. Okay, it's the ball joint is a little bit too small, but that's what the Batman, that's what the Azrael Nightfall Batman mask looks like on the regular Batman body. You could just put some stickum in there if you want to do that for whatever reason, just to show you a different look, but very awesome. Just such a gorgeous figure. So let's see here. We also have the utility belt, which I don't like this. So it's loose. It's extremely loose, and it just wraps around. I think it should be glued to the hips there. So I think that's lazy on Mafex's part there. It's a real soft plastic. Like, I don't know. I think they did that for articulation's sake, and it's very loose in this in the waist cut here, and I think it's because he's so top heavy, so that could be a little bit concerning as well. I may or may not glue this utility belt down just so it doesn't move around as much, but I guess they did that for the sake of articulation. There's also fly joints in the shoulders. So you got the pectoral fly, shoulder fly. So there's that extra bit of articulation there. Double jointed elbows. Look at those gauntlets. Absolutely stunning. So that was another thing about Azrael Batman, is he sort of had machine gun gauntlets that fired miniature batarangs, basically like a gun. And it was just a very violent version of Batman. Oh, there's also a bicep cut there, as you can see. So we get a bicep cut, double jointed elbows, and look at the metallic knuckles and the fingers. Just, wow. So well done. Such a beautiful figure. Stunning. Just the true glory of the 90s, and just their designs and how awesome they looked. And then of course he has a thigh pouch belt for whatever reason, so that goes around the thigh. Just standard legs. We got articulation in the knees, double jointed knees, as you can see. There's the bottom of the feet. You want to get a look at that. We got toe articulation if you like that. I do like that. I like the old school Toy Biz Marvel Legends, how they did that, even though it was a bit excessive at times. Let's see, he can almost do a straddle, but not completely. The kick goes up that high. So, I mean, pretty much anything you would want in terms of dynamic posing. That's what he looks like from behind. Take a look at his backside. But just the really standout to me is the gauntlets. Like, look at that. If he punches somebody in the face, he's going to kill them. It's like brass knuckles. Like, the gauntlets just look great. I'd imagine these are sharp for cutting people. And just that mask. Like, that mask design. Awesome. Just awesome. I don't know if any of you read the Nightfall series. I'm sure you did if you're watching this video. But just like the covers. The cover art by, I believe his name was Kelly Jones, I think was the cover artist at the time. And just amazing. So there he is. And here he is standing next to Hush Batman. So you can get a comparison. And the Hush Batman's cape is very large and flowy, where this is, I think this is a really nice cape. It's controlled and it's nice. And it's got the bendy wires, so you can do a lot of nice things with it. So let's check out the accessories. There's not many. We get... I do love the fact that they give us the additional head sculpt, though they only give us one. So we get the unmasked head of John Paul Valley. And kind of looks like a blonde Superman, the way they designed him. Even looks like Ben Reilly. Very similar to the Ben Reilly Spider-Man head sculpt. Just a little bit different hairstyle. Really good looking, though. Here he is compared to the Bruce Wayne. So that's the Bruce Wayne head sculpt. And that's the John Paul Valley head sculpt. So just so you guys can check that out. Oh, sorry, I got really big fingers. And we can pop this on. It's a barbell joint. It's the bent. They bend it out for whatever reason. And that's what he looks like unmasked, which is very cool. And what else do we have? So we have a total of 4 sets of hands. 1, 2, 3 additional ones. We got some sharp clawed grabby hands. Come like that. And then what else we have? We have more closed clawed hands, which are cool. And then we have a more open-fisted hand for whatever reason. If you can see that. So, I don't know. They go a little bit overboard with the hands. So here are the miniature batarangs that he fires. And there should be a port, which there is, on his gauntlet. And that slides in there like so. So he fires the miniature batarangs, as you can see. And then he also comes with a grappling hook. And the grappling hook, you know, where does the grappling hook go? I'm not sure. Not sure if it goes... Here is the hook, just so you see the hook, and what it looks like. And it is on a bendy wire. I don't like the... I wish it was just like a string. I just like the strings. If you want to display him firing the grappling hook. But, I'll look at the back of the box real quick. It looks like it comes out underneath the one glove. So, let's see if I can... Yeah. So let's see there. So I think you can port it in underneath like so. Yeah, so that's really, so it goes something like that. And I bent it as I put it in because it's a thin wire. But just like that. So those are the effects you have if you're interested. And also, for comparison, this is the third version of his suit. So as the storyline went along, this is from the DC Comics Universe collectible series, the very first, like it was sort of like the first DC competitor with the Marvel Legends. But this is the third version of the suit. So he's sort of like Iron Man. First he just had the basic Batman suit, the Neil Adams suit with the yellow logo, but he had the gauntlets. And then he upgrades up to this suit, so sort of like Iron Man. And then the third version of the suit is like this, and he's just like full-on Iron Man, just completely violent, completely unhinged. And then the final version is this exact suit, but it's in red. And that's the evolution of him in the Batman suit. But just a stunning figure, just gorgeous, totally gorgeous figure. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I got mine off a Big Bad Toy Store. I don't know if any pre-orders are still available. There's also Plaza Japan, which is a really good place to get Japanese imports. And I'm not sure of Entertainment Earth, and you can always go to eBay if you're desperate and you really want the figure. But I highly recommend Nightfall Batman. Just such a classic storyline in the history of Batman, and just an interesting character. And you know, the ultra-violence of Azrael reminds the readers of why the noble Bruce Wayne Batman, the no-kill rule, it reminds you of why you like him so much, of what you love about Batman, because he has a code and he doesn't kill, and he is moral and virtuous in the end, even though some things are very violent, what he does to criminals, but it just shows that Batman has a heart, and that's why we love him, the contrast. So anyhow, if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I say God bless you all, and peace.